You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS soap opera fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube. And today I want to talk about how Adam can steal Sally away from Nick. A lot of people would like to see Adam back with Sally and are not enjoying SNIC, as they call the Sally and Nick pairing. So we want to talk about that today. And I've got a 5-point plan for how Adam Newman can steal pregnant Sally away from his brother Nick. Before we dig into that, if you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our spoilers, casting news, everything you need to know about your favorite CBS soap opera. Okay, 5-point plan. Let's dig into this and discuss how Adam can steal Sally away from Nick. But just real quickly, let's talk about the existing playing field as it is right now. As it is right now, Nick has a home where he lives with his son, Christian Newman, whom he adopted, who is Adam Newman's biological child, but Adam agreed to let him raise him. Nick lives at home with his little boy. Sally, as far as we have seen, has never been to his house, has never interacted with his son. Sally was living at the Grand Phoenix, but now that they've revitalized the set of the Genoa City Athletic Club, she is now living in a suite at the GCAC. That's where this pregnant woman is living alone in a hotel room while her boyfriend lives with his son and hasn't invited her to move in, hasn't even invited her over for dinner. We only see them canoodling in Sally's hotel room. And clearly it's more than sex. There's some affection there, but that's where things are. Meanwhile, Adam is he living back at the ranch? He's not in the penthouse. He sold that. I believe he is living at the ranch. Maybe at the tack house? I'm trying to remember. At any rate, Adam's living somewhere. And he would clearly like that somewhere to be a shared space with Sally Spectra. He has proposed to her a couple of times. And as far as we know right now, she is pregnant with his child. Of course, that's a soap opera paternity test, so it cannot be trusted. But that's all the given information. So that's the starting point for what we're going to discuss. Point number 1, Adam could just be patient and wait it out and wait for Nick to self-sabotage. Because if you've been watching Y&R for a long time, you know that inevitably Nick will screw things up on his own. Do you remember the last time that Nick and Sharon were at the altar to become man and wife? Do you remember what he had done? He had slept with Phyllis and then decided to keep it a secret. And then Sharon found out and she waited until they were at the altar and then she blew it all up in his face because he screwed things up. They were in a very good spot. People were really happy to see them back together. They were happy to have their Sharon Nick pairing, and he screwed it up by hitting the sheets with Phyllis, and then it all blew up in his face. And now he and Sharon are on friendly terms, but he still screwed everything up. And that's what Nick does. He finds a way to eventually screw things up. Now, he definitely thinks of himself as the good guy, but let's face it, he is kind of a rogue, kind of a playboy, and he definitely finds a way to screw things up. So Adam could just be patient and wait and scoop Sally up after Nick inevitably disappoints her. However, Adam's not that patient. He's not a sit back and wait kind of guy. He's doing a really good job right now trying to just be chill, but that's probably as patient as he can get. Number 2, Adam can remind Sally about Nick's commitment issues. He has said it outright to her a couple of times, and that's set her on the defensive. So I don't think he needs to be constantly saying, Nick doesn't love you. Nick will only love Sharon. He's never going to commit to you. Not like that. He needs to be subtle and just remind her casually of these facts without saying them in such a way that will get her ire up against Adam, because then she might dig in her heels more. He could ask things like, hey, have you been over to Nick's house? How much time have you spent with Christian? Have you guys said I love you? He could ask things. He can ask questions that will promote these thoughts in her. So that's definitely something that he can do. And Sally might then start weighing it of, okay, Nick is just not moving forward with me, really. He's supporting my pregnancy, but our relationship relationship is largely stagnant and he hasn't said he loved me, versus Adam is head over heels in love with me and wants to marry me. So that's how he can get her thinking. Also, number 3, Adam can hire her at his new company so he can remind her of the days of their office romance and try to recreate some of that chemistry. This week, Adam asks Sally to come to work for him at Tucker McCall's company that Victor bought and gave to him. So he wants to hire her to work there, and that is a very good way for him to get closer to her, because if they're working together, then that means he can have 8 hours a day of unobstructed, Nick-free access to Sally. Ideally. However, you may remember that Victor already asked Nick to leave Newman Enterprises and come work for Adam as his COO. Nick even told Victoria about it, and she scoffed. Nick scoffed. Nick said no. However, if Sally's punching a time clock over there with Adam, Nick may rethink things, because he could see how this could be part of Adam's plan to steal Sally away from him. So Adam can try that, but Nick may put himself back in the way. Our 4th of the 5th ideas for Adam to steal Sally. Our 4th is he can remind her of the bond of the baby that she's carrying. The baby is starting to kick now, and she's letting him feel her bump, and there's a certain physical proximity that they're going to have to each other as they continue through this pregnancy, and he keeps going to some of the doctor's appointments, and she lets him feel their baby kick. There's got to be this natural feeling of, oh, that's the father of my baby with his hand on my belly. You know, that just has to not necessarily bring up anything like any sort of sexy thoughts about how they made the baby, but more thoughts of the bond that they share, that they are going to share for the rest of their lives. And that is another way he can worm himself closer to Sally. And that's something that Nick doesn't have with her, at least not now, at least not unless that paternity test is overruled. And our 5th and final thing is Adam can wait until Sally delivers the baby. He can wait until all those labor and delivery hormones and the baby bonding hormones click in, and he can make sure he is right there at her side. So as she is falling in love with their newborn baby, maybe she could be falling back in love with him. Although I personally think she hasn't fallen out of love with Adam. I think she is hurt by him, and I personally think that she sees Nick as a safer choice. Although, as I mentioned in point 1, waiting for Nick to self-sabotage, he seems like a safer choice, but I don't think her heart is safe with Nick. Plus, there's some upcoming confirmed May Sweep spoilers saying that Nick basically sidelines Sally in his life when Sharon has a crisis that he helps her through. So it definitely feels like that the Young and the Restless writers are clearing the path for Adam and Sally, but with our 5-point plan, if he puts this all into play, maybe he can win her. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Click subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of our Young and the Restless spoilers and updates. And as for the upcoming Young and the Restless spoilers, so we have got Adam offering Sally a job next week, and Victor raging at Nick because he wants him away from Sally. And then we have more angst between the two brothers and their dad because they are very mad that Victor tried to buy her baby and run her out of town, and that's going to have them getting more protective. And then we have this upcoming May Sweeps crisis with Sharon that will draw Nick closer to her and further from Sally. So the stage is set, and let's see if Adam can take advantage and find his way to steal his girl back from his big brother.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.